I'm 46 years old and I'm starting from zero. I don't really have any connections or any clients whatsoever, but I do have a really big passion for photography and filmmaking along with YouTube. So this is basically me going from nothing to actually something. Now, my current situation is I live at home in Barry in South Wales. I own my own home. I live with my beautiful wife, my daughter and my lovely Cocker Spaniel, but I do also have a stepson, but he has jumped ship and left us because he is 24 years old. Now, in regards to photography and filmmaking, I've had a passion for this for a number of years now, mainly because my stepson decided that he wanted to join college and he wanted to do photography. Kind of fell out of love with it, wasn't really his kind of thing, but he did leave his old Canon, I think it was like a 50D, something like that, lying around, and I decided to take that to my daughter's lifesaving club, which is down on the beach, and I thought I'd just capture some moments and that lot, and I really fell in love with candid photography, and I just started finding a little bit of passion. Never really thought to myself that this would ever be wanting to be a career or anything else like that. And then I started finding myself wanting to make like YouTube videos, vlogging and stuff, or like days out and that. I used to like really document it, kind of like some of the places that we go to. You know, it's nothing special, nothing that really people wanted to watch, even though I did put it up on YouTube and that lot. But I did start to find my kind of like my passion of like wanting to tell stories, you know, taking pictures and stuff like that. And I then started, probably say for the last year and a half, really wanted to start taking it a lot more seriously. So I started digging my heels in, started saying this is what I really want to do. This is kind of like a career path that I want to move myself into, because I've kind of like been soul searching, I would say, for probably about the same period of time actually, for like since I started picking up a camera, mainly because I just wanted to change. I always worked in construction, I always worked on sites and that, and I was going to go into management, but you know, you just have that calling where you just know that that isn't the right way for you to go. I just wanted something different. I wanted to be able to work at home, be spending more time with my family rather than working away all the time and that lot. So I knew for a fact now this was kind of like the way that I wanted to go. This was going to be my passion whatsoever. So like I say, I started digging my heels in and started thinking, right, I need to start taking this a lot more seriously. So I would say for the last year and a half, I have been concentrating a lot more on getting some better gear and stuff like that. Even though I haven't got the best, I've got a Canon R6, which I'm totally grateful for. I've got a couple of lenses and that lot. But that's pretty much it. I don't have a drone or anything else like that. But I have got a bit of a passion for what I like to do. So I thought to myself, I'm going to start getting out there. So I filmed a wedding and actually done photos at that particular wedding. I've done an event in Cardiff, a 5-star hotel. That was for the Cardiff College for their awards ceremony for the end of the year. That was absolutely phenomenal to be actually doing that as well. I've done Glastonbury, not the big one, the small one, which we have, which is Tribute Festival. Went and filmed that, done photos as well. So I've done quite a number of things. Now, I would say for the last year, I have mainly been focusing on just doing night work, mainly because I got like a regular job in doing it for a local nightclub. So I was going there, filming, you know, each Saturday night. Then I was putting up the photos and everything else like that, and kind of like doing the social media side for them as well. And I learned a lot from that, because it was like low light, you know, fast moving, you know, where everyone just, you know, drunk and everyone in the way and that lot. And it really taught me to be, you know, be quite creative in that lot, especially because I was working in the same environment all the time. And it's just like a big square room basically. So you have to try and be creative and try and make each video differently. So that taught me a lot in itself, but that is not what I want to do. I don't want to be working nights, filming in nightclubs and stuff like that, and I don't particularly really want to do too many weddings or any other things like that. Now, I do have a main passion in my life, and that is to travel. Now, I know this is a bit of a cliche thing. I get that, because I know everyone wants to travel, you know, take photos, go to all these beautiful, amazing locations, you know, get paid to travel and all that stuff, and live this glamorous life. I understand it's cliche, but for me personally, one thing I did not do when I was younger was travel, and God, do I regret it. I was, you know, I wasn't the best kid, you know what I mean, when I was younger. I kind of like whittled some of my early years away, ended up just staying in one location back home. I'm not originally from Wales, I'm originally from South England, and I kind of like just didn't go traveling or nothing. A lot of my friends went after, you know, did the Thailand thing and that. I know I never did that, and I kind of regret it in certain sense, but also I think, you know, the universe speaks to us in different ways, because I now have a whole new appreciation. One thing for me personally is I absolutely love history. I love how things come to be, you know, ancient civilizations all the way up to present, and it can be just like you know, how people live in these certain areas. How did they get to those areas? How do they still live so remote? You know, especially when you look at like different countries like Vietnam and, you know, different parts of Africa and stuff like that. And it's just got all these amazing stories. And like I say, I love to learn and, you know, study different religions, you know, different areas, different beliefs, you know, how cities and how villages are created, even down to like, you know, just volcanoes, everything kind of like really interests me. It does. And I want to try to take that passion traveling with me with a camera as well. And I kind of really want to take my desire for filmmaking and photography, but also deliver it in a slightly different way than a lot of travel influencers would do. Because I know a lot of it is, you know, nice drone shots, showing these amazing locations, you know, sunrise, sunset and stuff like that. And I know that looks absolutely epic. And don't get me wrong, I love following and like some of these places and how they take their photos and film certain locations is absolutely amazing. But I really want to do it like in a documentary, you know, like a History Channel kind of vibe. I want to actually show, you know, who lives there, how these places were actually created. Now, I don't personally feel that I have the best narration voice, so maybe a little bit of help with AI with an over voice. I might chuck that on top of the videos, but I really want to be able to script, really go to these places, learn from them, you know, interview like, you know, people that might be living there, even if it's just some from remote tribes, all the way up to just people running a beautiful cafe in Bali that overlooks the waterfall, anything like that. All those kind of things interest me, and it always gets me wondering of like, you know, who come up with the idea, you know, who come up with that idea to put that cafe there overlooking the waterfall, and actually know who owns it and stuff, and like the location of thing. And I think like a lot of people, when they look at these locations and they see all these different things, they kind of like miss out on, you know, all the information of like how these places come to be, and, you know, the people that actually live, you know, and actually work in these kind of areas. So that's, you know, that's kind of like where I want to be. But in regards to that, sometimes it's not quite as easy as that. Now, obviously, like I say, I'm 46 years old. Now, for me to quickly, like, you know, want to jump and travel and things like that, I do have commitments. I have a daughter now. She's turning, what, coming up to 17 now. She's in college, absolutely fantastic kid. I mean, I've totally blessed in that regards with her. She does her own thing. She's got her head screwed on. She doesn't drink. She doesn't like parties or anything else like that. So I don't have to worry about those kind of things. But one thing I do have to concentrate on is obviously paying bills. Like, you know, I've got to like obviously keep the house running. You know, I've got the car and stuff like that. And obviously, we know in this kind of climate they're actually in now, prices are always rising, especially in the UK. So things are going. So there's a lot of things that can go against me and trying to stop me in that regards to actually want to achieve my goals and my dreams, but I just don't feel like they should get in my way whatsoever. I know one thing for me personally is I need to actually concentrate on doing things at home and, you know, get this in order first, get my skill set built up, show things that I can do, you know, tell stories in my local area and that lot, and then use that then to branch out, work with, you know, maybe other brands, other companies and stuff like that, and then use like that to travel and, you know, and try and create my own stories and just try and do things off my own back and try and tell stories on YouTube as well. So that's kind of like where I am at this present moment in time. I'm kind of like trying to juggle two different things. Now, I'm quite fortunate enough that I do have a partner who earns very good money. She's very, very, very supportive in me. I mean, I couldn't be able to do this without her, that's for certain. So in that regards, I'm pretty much sorted in certain senses. I still have to provide, I still have to earn money and whatnot else like that. It's not a free ride or anything else like that whatsoever. But I am a little bit more covered in those kind of areas, and it does give me a little bit more leeway during the day to actually go out and just, you know, create these stories and, you know, to learn and, you know, study things off of YouTube and that lot, and better ways to do filmmaking and editing in general. But one of the biggest problems that I normally do stuff with, and that is the biggest problem I will say over the last number of years, is that the conflict in my mind. Now, I do suffer with autism. I've got high function autism. So basically, I normally find things like this quite awkward, especially when I was younger. I was socially awkward a little bit and that lot. And I will say, after doing vlogs, I tried doing gaming and streaming and that. And one thing that taught me was to actually speak to a camera a little bit better. So I feel like I'm doing not too bad at this present moment of time. But one thing is on the downside for me in regards to that kind of being is that I do have like real overthinking thoughts. I do suffer from what they call catastrophic thinking, where you all just think like the negative side of things and that lot. And that through that, it's kind of like pushed like, you know, opportunities away that I've had. Now, like I say, I've done like a wedding, I've done, you know, hotels and stuff, and I've had certain other opportunities that have arisen, say, and I've always like either been ill, there's been something come up, and I think I always use them excuses to just get out of it. You know, when you just feel like you're getting closer to your goal and there's something pushing you away, and then you just think, oh no, I better not go and do that. I haven't got the right gear, and I overthink things, and I think, oh, that's going to go wrong. I can't go there. I haven't got the right type of lenses, and I kind of like really pushed things away, especially over the last year or so, especially when I built up a little bit of momentum. I feel like I've kind of like pushed it away, and that's why I said, like at the start of this video, I'm basically starting from zero, because I kind of like pushed like certain opportunities away. I don't really have any clients whatsoever. So for me personally, like now, is to overcome these kind of conflicts that I do have in my mind, you know, to actually convince myself like, you know, I am good enough, and all the content and stuff that I've actually created for people, everyone's been over the moon. Like the wedding, like I say, and other places, all the nightclub things that I've done, the festival and that, everyone's been absolutely over the moon with the work that I've done. And, you know, I'm not perfect, still got a long way to learn, but it shows that I'm on the right track and I can actually do what I'm meant to do. So I don't really have any problems there. So I would say, especially over the last couple of months, I've really kind of like got over these kind of hurdles, especially like through meditation and other things like that, which I will talk in like other videos about how I get over like certain things of overthinking, you know, and procrastinating and stuff like that, and, you know, how I'm actually now, you know, getting on with certain things. Because one thing I had to learn really like now is just to start, just to get going, not to worry about gear or anything else like that, to put yourself out there and to actually get the work done. Now, the biggest mind change, or the mindset change for me personally over the last month now, has been, you know, like the area that I actually live in is good enough to go out and create stories. This is the biggest thing that I've always had problems with. I always look at these travel creators and these people in these amazing exotic locations, you know, like from Bali, you know, to the Dolomites, you know, to all the way to Vietnam and all this lot. And I'm here, like, do you know what I mean? I'm here in Barrow, South Wales, you know, we don't have the best weather. It's not exactly the most tropical places and that lot, but in the same regards, there is stories to be told, and that's where I need to change my mindset. Because if I can't create stories from around here, then how am I expected then to go, you know, somewhere luxurious or to abroad and try and use my skills for that when I have no experience in actually doing it? So I've kind of like changed my mindset of late that, you know, I need to actually concentrate on what I'm actually doing around here, create some stories. Now, the biggest thing for me at the moment is on Instagram especially, is they do have like these postcard video clips, which are like 5 to 10 seconds long, which just show like little moments, little stories. But once you put them in together, you know, like between 5, 10 of them, anything, it kind of like tells a story of a location. Now, I've really fell in love with them, especially because like I said before, I love candid photography. I love capturing those moments, just these little things that you take for granted. Like when I used to do my daughter's sports events and stuff like that, I'd focus a lot of the time, not just on the races, but also of like the kids in the crowd. You know what I mean? When they're having a laugh, they're playing, they're play fighting, getting ready, getting some like all the like the face paints on their things with the numbers and stuff. Just those little moments. We just kind of like take them for granted. You know, they just pass us by. And I've always wanted to try and concentrate on them. So I used to try and tell a story through that kind of vibe. So with these postcards, what I'm finding now is I don't need to worry about having the perfect light, it being sunset thing, just to go out and just film certain clips, you know, of like a certain area, a local park, down at the beach and that lot. And it's amazing how many, you know, different unique little stories that you can actually find. What, you know, people just metal detecting, you know, kids playing, doing cartwheels on the sand and stuff like that, the way people are eating outside a nice cafe. And it kind of like, once you put them all together, it tells a beautiful little story. So I really got myself out now and going to different locations. I really need to get into Cardiff now, which is obviously the capital of Wales, which isn't too far from us. It's only about like 6 miles away. Start getting into town there, because there's lots of stories to be told there. But then also, like I said before, is I love history. Now, this is where I need to pivot as well. It's kind of like my short form, but I really want to do long form content as well. So I want to be able to tell stories. So I've been using like ChatGPT and stuff like that, just to try and get a few ideas of like local places, you know, like Jackson's Bay, for instance, which is just over Barry Island, beautiful little bay which people go to in the summer and that lot. And there I thought, let's research what about that bay, you know, what's happened over there over the years. And you find out there's been a smuggler, like a person died, then they made a chapel on top of the cliffs for him, and then people used to do pilgrimages all the way from England to that site and then back again. And I thought to myself, that all tells an amazing story. And so for me personally, from this weekend, I'm going to go out, I'm going to film a lot of stuff in Jackson Bay. Like I say, I'm going to use what I have in regards to lenses and stuff like that. Like I say, I don't have a drone, so there won't be no fancy drone shots. But as we know, story is king. And I just go out, collect the story, get the video clips that I really wanted to do, and then use that then to actually write a script, put it all together and tell a story of that bay and stuff like that, and then try and use that then as a, you know, a springboard, so to speak, and move on and try and tell other stories in other locations around my local area, and then also up into like the Brecon Beacons where we have these amazing waterfalls and stuff like that as well. So there is plenty of stories to be told. So I know for a fact now that, you know, there is no excuse for me not moving forward and trying to drive myself forward and trying to actually create, you know, the reality that I want, you know, my dream kind of life in creating films and taking photos and whatnot else like that. So this is the big step forward for me. And then also with that is I'm going to work with some local businesses at this present moment. Like, I know I need to pay bills, which I do. I work nights and stuff like that, but also I think during the day I want to go and film some businesses and use that then also when I'm in there, film like the locations that they're in and kind of like try and tell the story of the place, how it come to be, the owner and that lot, instead of just going in there, this place sells cookies or ice cream or whatever else like that. You know, trying to tell a story of that place and have a nice narration voice over it, and it's something that they can use, you know, on their website and for social media and that lot. And I believe then doing that will help, you know, help me to learn to tell stories that when I'm abroad and I'm going to these amazing locations like hotels and other places like that, I'll be able to work with brands, I'll be able to see the kind of things that I'm actually doing and kind of like my style, you know, put this up on Instagram and that, and it'll attract the kind of people that I want to actually work with in my life. And then when I'm actually traveling and I see in these quirky little, you know, cafes that you see like in Portugal and other places like that, I'll be able to film these kind of little locations and tell a little story of exactly how those kind of places to be. So that's the kind of vibe and that's how I want to be moving forward. So basically this is the big start, and I really wanted to actually put this out onto YouTube. I know a lot of people start at the end. I want to kind of like come from the beginning. I want to show like my journey from the very start, you know, because there's a lot of people out there now that really want to, you know, change their careers, whether they want to work on cruise ships, whether they want to work, you know, on construction, whether they want to work abroad, wherever else. We all kind of like feel like we're stuck in a rat race at the moment and we can't go out there for film and learn our dreams. And I just believe that, you know, I think that these kind of things can hopefully help people, you know, my sort of age especially, because, you know, when you've got families and that, it's a lot harder to actually go out there and, you know, start, you know, just chipping away a little hour, couple of hours here and there and just working on your dream, and that you can actually get to where you want to get. And like I say, at this present moment, I have no clients, no nothing whatsoever, but one thing 100% promise is that I will get to where I want to get to, and it will be very soon indeed as well. I've got a completely different mindset and I just want to bring everyone on the journey, and then hopefully I'll share my passion for some stories that I've created along the way. And I'll see if you want to join me over on Instagram, I'll show you the little places that I'm going off and filming and that lot as well, and we'll just take this channel as we get. So if you guys are interested in joining me on this journey, feel free to subscribe and like this video. That'd be much appreciated. We'll see you in the next one.